So welcome to NETFLOW and AVC Rockstar digital training. So my name is Rasika Nayanajith, your instructor for digital class. So what we are going to cover in this class is NETFLOW technology. So NETFLOW being a Cisco proprietary protocol, so they developed this in 1996 as a flow collection method, and then they evolved this technology over a period of time. So certain versions Cisco did not release for public. So in that way, after version 1, we got version 5. So the version 5 only supported IPv4. Today's IPv4 is a one part. So you need IPv6, and that's what version 9. So version 9 is the next major version. So Cisco supported IPv6, multicast, MPLS, all those flow export as part of flow v9. So v9 being the sort of giving the most flexibility. So sometimes we referred as a flexible NetFlow as well. So where we basically allow you to define a flow format, what field you want to export, not a fixed format like up to version 5 where we had the fixed format. So now the version 9, the flow export format become the basis for industry standard IETF industry standard protocol called IPFix. So in that way, RFC 3954 published in 2004 illustrating all the sort of flow v9 export formats that become the basis for the IPFix. So IPFix is a open standard protocol for the flow export that's published in 2008 and updated in 2013 as well. So now, even we said Cisco developed technology, NetFlow became the industry standard for the flow export. In that way, many vendors today supporting NetFlow export. Like in that way, you can configure NetFlow in many different devices, not only Cisco devices. But there are certain vendor-specific flow export method available as well. Just to be aware, Juniper had JFlow, and then some other vendors define a technology called sample flow. Mainly HP, Alcatel, NEC, and many other vendors also supported SFlow. So as a flow collecting vendor, you don't want to limit it yourself to only NetFlow. In that way, most of the flow collectors today supporting IPFix, NetFlow, and SFlow, or even JFlow, because they want to make sure their collector supporting any of the flow export. So in this digital class, I break down into 5 modules. So in that way, Wi-Fi training, we focusing about wireless training. Even the NetFlow, I wanted to talk about wireless NetFlow in detail, but we can't directly jump into wireless NetFlow without the background. That's why in the module 1 and 2, I am giving the module 1 for the overview, NetFlow, NBAR, certain flow cache, flow export detail, and then setting the base foundation for overall technology. And the module 1, I am going into wired NetFlow, and primary focus is V5 and V9, the flexible NetFlow and the prior version of the V5, the fixed format. And then I briefly talk about firewall as well, because it is important. Firewall has additional detail you exporting as a NetFlow. In that way, you need to know firewall also supporting NetFlow. Again, like a configuration wise, I'm using a ISR router just to illustrating these things. Other than that, I'm not covering all possible Cisco devices. That is where the configuration guides are available. You can go and do if you are focusing about particular hardware. And then module 3 and 4, which is the core of this particular digital class. Module 3, I am focusing about the ROS NetFlow and AVC. And the module 4, I am focusing about 9800 NetFlow and AVC. So if you are a Cisco wireless person, and if you want to know how the configuration, what are the limitations on this particular platform, and this is the sort of 2 module you need to pay attention for. And then finishing off the digital class with deployment consideration, because now we discuss internet become more encrypted, almost like a 95-96% is today is also encrypted. But in that way, if you are using a traditional method of identifying application, your flow detection method may not work in future internet, specifically HTTP 3 and QUIC. These are two protocols inbuilting the encryption into the standard, and then normal TCP flow will be diminishing because the TCP will be replaced by QUIC. So in that way, I'm talking about some of this detail in the last module. So just to give you the overall context. So before basically we go into the module, I want to explaining how this particular class setup, what kind of hands-on activities we are doing. So like any other digital content I'm developing, I firmly believe you need to have a hands-on experience. In that way, I'm trying to show you what is the lab setup I am using for this digital content development. Then if you like to have your own kind of lab setup to simulating this, then you can build up something like that. So I have a few flow collectors. Most of these collectors I download as an evaluation version because most of the vendors giving 30-60 days kind of evaluation. You can see manage engine flow collector I got, and then I have a extra hop EDA as well as stealth watch, Cisco stealth watch solution as well, and then Noxian network flow analyzer and SolarWinds network traffic analyzer or net flow traffic analyzer as well. I just have as a collector devices. And then where the flow export coming from, as I discussed module 2, I'm talking about wired devices. We are focusing about the wired component, this ISR router. And then in the module 3, we're talking about ROS. I have a pair of Cisco 3504 controllers. So that will be used to exporting flow. And I'm talking about using that and getting some packet captures when the traffic generating from 3504. And then when we module 4, we talk about 9800. So 9800 CL cloud version, but still, you know, like it is supporting NetFlow, and I will be using that in the module 4. So in this class, you don't want to do your own captures. I will basically sharing the captures I have taken during the class. So then you can open in Wireshark and go through and understand those flow template and flow detail as we go. So a little bit about the Wi-Fi training, what we are doing. So we are like primarily focusing about wireless and security, but we have developed certain sort of automation training as well. So we are doing, you know, like Cisco and CWNP as an authorized training partner. We develop certain training content for CWNP journey. You can see some workbook series if you are in your CWNE journey, or if you are into other technologies, you can focus and pick these digital content. In that way, the content I am doing now, NETFLOW and AVC, it's a one of like that. So overall, it's like a 6-hour kind of digital content. But I have developed many other content as well. My colleague Chris, you know, like developed certain other content. Many different instructors developing content for Wi-Fi training. So you can go and pick and choose what you like. But if you are interested about this training more and more, you can get all access pass, which is make much more sense rather than you individually buying this content. In that way, once you buy it, it's a 1-year subscription. You have access to all the training material we are developing in this digital form. So now a little bit of myself as well. You know, like my background is, you know, like I'm a senior instructor for Wi-Fi training. I developed training and I did delivering instructor-led training as well. So Cisco, CWNP, sometime Ekaho training as well, I'm delivering in the APAC region. But my background is, you know, mostly I spend a lot of time in the Cisco wired component back to 2008. And then since 2012, I my focus area to wireless. So since then, I'm primarily focusing about wireless and training content, developed a wireless focus. So if you want to know about myself more, I think you may come across sometime mrncciw.com, which is my personal blog. I try to talk about what I'm up to, what I'm doing, so that way you can get up to date what I am up to. But if I get the free time, I always giving some time back to Cisco community, where I spend most of my free time. So then for the last 10 years, I was one of the Cisco community VIP member based on the contribution given to the Cisco community. So that way, if you have a Cisco specific question, specifically wireless, you may sometime know I am responding more frequently, and then you can come in touch with me through the Cisco support community as well. So in that way, either Cisco support community or my personal blog or Wi-Fi training, you can reach back to us. So I really appreciate if you can give some feedback for us. I am taking the feedback very seriously because I really want to add value. Every training content I've developed, I would like to give some value back to you. In that way, if you have any feedback, please let us know. So with that, we'll go into module 1, which will talking about flow monitoring technologies. So which will be talking about NETFLOW, NBAR, flow export detail. So let's go into the lessons now.